Crowder with Crowder is brought to you in part by .com. Head over to the shop, support the fight, and buy some cool threads. It's the Tits Pajamas. .com.
Had to sip that one lightly because it is scalding hot again, but that's a good thing.
No, we didn't get you.
Knew about
it'll
it.
be
Dang it.
It will be at the proper room temperature, hotter than room temperature. It won't. Everything won't taste like rubber for a month in about
Hallelujah.
3 minutes time.
I kind of want it hot enough to where you spill it on your lap and then shriek in agony.
So this, by the way, the mug. The thing that's wonderful,
And then
it's
Sue
a ton.
McDonald's.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's wonderful size, but the thing is, unless you fill it, since it can fit a whole beer, it can fit a whole pint in
can.
it.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't stay hot for very long. You have to preheat. The people out there, wonderful hand-etched mug. You can join Mug Club. That's how you support the show.
yeah.
But some people are like, well, it's like when you're putting a shot of espresso in a cold mug.
What do you expect to
What do
happen?
you expect?
You gotta preheat a little bit.
Understand the laws of thermodynamics, Greta. So we're going to be talking
Blah,
about
blah,
that
blah.
today.
Blah.
But before we get to look, I want you to know we're going to be talking about Australia in today's
yes.
show. There's some breaking news coming out of Australia.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Americans say, well, come on, who cares? Now, I understand that. However, it is a cautionary tale. It's very important for you to understand what's going on in Australia so you can understand the slow erosions of your freedom. And Australia has gone a little further, but, where I was raised in Canada, they've taken extreme measures too. So I've kept my eye on it. People think just things like curfews. Well, that's pretty bad too. It goes way further than that. And if you look at Australia, you need to understand where it started, and it goes back to the 90s. And it's the frog and the boiling water, which are becoming gay. So...
These are facts.
frog.
I don't know. These are facts.
true.
These are facts. So we'll be talking about Australia, and to our Australian viewers, we have a lot. We are sorry. Our hearts are with
Love you, Aussies.
But before that, Gerald A., how are you?
I am well.
Good.
Aussie.
What does that mean?
That's what they
Oi,
yell.
oi, oi, oi.
I don't know why.
No, they pronounce their S's properly. And Quarter Black Garrett?
You're fired. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Still quarter vaccine
still
hesitant?
in there.
Well,
Still in there.
unlike the unelected governor of New York, I don't think that you people are stupid.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
I
that's
appreciate
nice.
it. I mean, I'm pretty stupid, but it's okay.
Well, thank you.
That's an olive branch.
I just wouldn't speak with a broad generalization
Yeah.
as the unelected governor of New York has regarding
Yes.
black citizens of her state.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course, Dave Landau is here, and you are
Ahoy.
good.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Well, you have a big show coming up this Friday, Carnegie Music Hall in Homestead, Pennsylvania. We have the link in the description where you can buy tickets. They're going fast. There aren't many left, so I would recommend probably today. We probably won't be plugging this tomorrow.
Buy it.
Because
Help a brother out.
yeah, and it's a good hall where you don't, these people are letting you go there and have control over your own body, not forcing you to test.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, you get to choose.
You get to choose. Speaking of choosing, some interesting creative choices made by the non-leader in late night, Stephen Colbert.
Oh, boy.
And it's a very lazy attack for people to just say that something isn't funny, okay? Because I understand that comedy is subjective, but I think we've crossed the line here. No, I don't mean a line of propriety. I just mean it's real. I think that we can objectively put this in the categorically unfunny. You guys comment below if you watch this sketch. What would we call it, Dave?
Abomination? I really didn't see much of it. I only saw a second, so I'm going to have to decide.
Okay, it seems like propaganda for the vaccine companies.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe
Listen, Stephen Colbert is actually, I have this from sources up high. He has a vested interest in Moderna. As a matter of fact, Stephen Colbert owns all of Moderna. He owns the Moderna, and he's making the
entire
frogs
Moderna.
he's going to be on the show tomorrow, by the way. Alex.
Tomorrow.
Is
in studio.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Help.
So we're going to have a
Dressed
talk with
as
him.
a gay frog.
Yes.
I hope so.
I'm doing this to make a point.
Yeah.
This is to draw attention to the reality. This is sickening to me as well. That's why I dressed up like a gay frog
I'm not
and
sure
wore
that's true.
the undergarments.
Great video.
Oh.
Should hop into my imagination.
Yes.
If you want to see paradise, simply look around, and you will. You will. I'm a human.
All right.
I love Alex.
You're gonna have a heart
You should
attack.
be a
You're still
preacher.
recovering from surgery. Stop it.
That's true.
How many stints has he had?
Today?
No, I take my oregano oil.
So Stephen Colbert.
I have this filter.
I have this carbon block filter.
Takes all the heart attack juice out of everything.
Takes the heart attack juice out. I'm kind of retarded. You can get your
Have
water
you
from
proven it doesn't, though?
You can get your water from chemtrails, ladies and gentlemen. I will get my water from God, from Mother Nature.
This is a lean, mean, fat-reducing grilling machine.
Yes.
George Foreman's not with it anymore. I am. It takes the gay out of your steaks.
I also have 9 sons named Alex, so it was appropriate. So,
Messed up.
Alex! Not you!
It's like multiplicity. You just get dumber.
No.
No.
Okay, so Stephen Colbert did the sketch last night. I don't know. Like, I will call this a sketch, but I just want you to see it in all of its splendor. Let's roll it.
The vaccine.
Let's see what they did there.
Steven?
Yeah, hold on. We gotta watch the clip.
Steven, I really don't know if I can.
Dave, hold on. People need to see the clip. We'll talk about it after.
Steven is.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll talk about it after. The clip's almost done. That's dancing.
See,
Dave, hold on. We got to just finish the. I want everyone to see it in its context. Otherwise, they'll say that we edit it out of context.
Vaccine.
Oh, they switched tequila to vaccine.
no.
Thank you.
There you go. Dave,
I can smell it.
Dave,
Sorry, it's.
If you're gonna make me.
stop it. Yeah, this is not a big studio. We don't have the CBS budget.
What'd you eat?
All right, that's not important.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's just.
Okay.
Get him a carbon block filter.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I just OD'd on all those needles.
And your thoughts on the sketch?
That's what a junkie sees when he scores heroin. Just dancing needles. and
Dancing
he's gonna have a
needles
good
everywhere
time.
else, really?
Like, yeah, here comes. We're gonna ride the horse. Hope there.
The first one on the left looked a little.
Objectively.
Objectively, well, I don't think they're in bed with any sort of health company.
No.
Vaccine.
Objectively, wow. Well, I don't want to say it on YouTube.
Okay.
But there should be ways that he is replaced. There's
Have him drive down Midtown in a convertible.
Sam Jackson wouldn't say yes to that.
I don't
Nicolas Cage would give that a
I think
no.
you're right.
Yeah.
Though. I don't think he's in bed with the vaccine company. As a matter of fact,
breaking news. I've found out that he has relinquished his stake in Moderna. They have paid him billions to, in fact, not do any more sketches. This has been a double cross. A double cross. Alex!
That would make sense. That would make sense.
it's just so. Look, you guys comment
That's what-
below and let me know. I mean,
That's what Pee Wee Herman danced.
yeah.
I mean, what?
Considering how funny he was on Comedy Central, and I think he was very funny on Comedy
I
Central.
do, yeah.
Yesterday we talked about how John Oliver is funny, even though I disagree with him.
Yes.
I mean, just that is okay.
Who's his
Why
base?
would you
Is his base 85? Like, who's watching?
Yeah,
his
his demo is. It's about. It used to be Fox News. Is really old.
Oh, wow.
You need to know this. It's ABC, NBC, CBS. Their demographic is it's all very old right now.
Their
I guess that all makes sense.
Yeah,
then.
their viewers are dying in record numbers.
Well, their
Look,
viewers
I-
probably do need the giant vaccines.
They do. Yeah.
I don't care if they're 3. If on Halloween a kid shows up to my house dressed as a vaccine, I'm going to kick him off my porch.
Just pop him one right in the
I'm going
lip.
to egg him.
Yeah, yeah. So I will
That's
throw
true.
candy at your kid's soft spots.
I'm gonna give them a bag of poo and light.
I mean, that's it. Why?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like you've lost like a piece of you over the years?
Yes. Yes, I do. Okay.
Comedy writers were like this, and they were like, "Yes,
Yeah.
Good to go.
Well, what are you
like
going to do? You're going to tell the what's the term? You're going to tell the lesbian of color with rickets that her material isn't good enough? You
Well,
want to have HR
Not having
in
that
there faster than a
conversation.
duck on a June bug for crying out? What are you going to do? She's like, oh, this is great. Okay, we'll replace tequila with vaccine. Thank you, Skylight.
But it's like the 1950s shows that were brought to you by Lucky Strike or
Yeah.
the Colgate Comedy
Yeah, it's
Hour.
healthy.
Now it's just vaccines the whole show.
It's the Pfizer Comedy Hour.
yeah, it's fun. Johnson & Johnson Comedy Hour.
Yeah, there you go. No need to refrigerate. Just stick it in your rear.
It's Moderna time.
Yes. Okay. So here's another thing really quickly before we get to Australia. And General Milley, by the way, that happened yesterday
Yes.
while we were
Oh,
live
wow,
on air.
yeah.
I didn't know it was some things that definitely need to be hit on, namely General Milley. Nancy Pelosi yesterday, though, slipped and accidentally said the quiet part out loud, what we've all been thinking. Hear it straight from the horse's, hear it straight from the speaker's mouth.
Keep government open. We have to do those imminently, more imminently even, to address the full Obama agenda of building back better.
I used to say,
Where's your Steven Tyler
you know what,
scarf?
if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
Now, look, I don't think you need to be a serial killer with red yarn in your basement
Yeah.
to see that Stephen Colbert, vaccine sketch, Nancy Pelosi talking about Barack Obama, of course, has been on Colbert, that they've all had drinks together. They're all getting together at cocktail hour. This is not about just left versus right, though I'm a conservative. I don't run from that. This is truly about the elites in power versus you. No more cocktails.
None whatsoever. By the way, I think Nancy Pelosi now speaks in unintelligible words, and then eventually she'll say something
Now?
that you're like, oh,
Yes.
Now I have to go back and try to piece that into what you just said. Did you actually say?
Well, it's just-
What?
It's
Between
her,
the claw.
It's her satanic prayer language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Her
don't.
tongues.
I don't quite understand.
I just noticed her wearing that nice skin-tight pink dress, and I thought, wow, I didn't know you could get hotter.
It's a pantsuit.
Boosty.
Is that what that is?
Yes. It's painted on. By the way, we here at
Must
of
be
course,
made
Ladder-
in heaven.
Yes. Let's just move on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's
you're
okay.
fine.
Here's the next one. Greta Thunberg did this yesterday at some youth climate summit. Let's keep this in context. She is 18. I know she looks
Officially.
12,
Officially
but
18.
she is 18. Okay.
Oh, geez.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dave.
I was thinking about.
Can't fill that
okay.
up anymore.
At least you'll be. You know what? Look, I don't want to tell him. I don't want to be in control of his eating habits. His
No.
body, his choice.
No, that was just the mention of Greta Thunberg.
I apologize.
you
Stephen
know
Mer-
how I am.
By the way, still the winner of the Stephen Merchant Lookalike Foundation, 3 years running.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's yeah.
He's a shoe-in.
She's a girl,
Good job.
a lady of many talents. Here she is talking like a rap diss, just crapping on everyone for not doing enough for the environment, including Biden, including AOC, if you read between the lines. And also, this is very lazy.
There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
This is what happens
Clap.
when you're homeschooled and
This is
procrastinate,
not
folks.
about some expensive, politically correct green act of bunny hugging or blah, blah, blah.
Bunny hugging.
See what's happening.
Build back better. Blah, blah, blah. Green economy. Blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050. Blah, blah, blah. Net zero. Blah, blah, blah. Climate neutral. Blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear
You're 18,
from our
sweetheart.
so-called leaders. Words. Words that sound great,
Not
but
yours.
so far has
yet.
led to no action. Our hopes and dreams drown in their empty words and promises. What do we want?
Blah, blah.
When do we want it?
Blah, 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 blah. For you to go away forever. You have overstayed your welcome.
Wow, she's the worst.
Remember when YouTube's policy was you couldn't criticize her because she wasn't 18?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Thank God she is now, right,
Yeah,
fellas?
there you go. It's like the Olsen twins countdown clock, only to make sure that we turn off the television.
Yes. Oh, gross.
So we here, of course, at Louder with Crowder, we really, that being said, we do care about the environment. And we were touched by the overall sentiment from Greta's inspiring words. So we have our environmental correspondent. Of course, last week was all the late night hosts came together to do their green, their climate day.
It was helpful.
Climate week.
Yeah.
It's
we
no
didn't
dancing needles, but I think it did a lot.
Well, look, but we didn't get the memo, so we assume it was lost in the mail. So we've decided, of course, to take action here, and we have our environment correspondent. Okay, it's Thomas Finnegan to help show us how to fight against climate change.
Good morning, Stephen.
Hello, Mr. Finnegan. Okay, you are there. So today you're going to teach us how
As you know, climate change is a problem, and the late night hosts are combining their forces this week to combat that.
Correct.
Because climate change is not a problem for some time in the future. It's right now.
Yes.
So I set up this experiment so that we could measure exactly what it is that we're putting into the atmosphere.
Oh, well, that's good science.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Huh? I don't think that's very helpful, Thomas. Regardless of if you have a refractometer to
science?
See the emissions, Thomas. Well, we'll see where this is going.
Yeah,
we'll check back in with Thomas.
I don't have high hopes.
By the way, hey, you can. What are we telling people? Subscribe to the podcast today.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to the podcast on the. Or is it a podcast? Or am I talking about Instagram? There's so many things to plug.
There's so many things.
Well,
We got a
also that we got-
podcast.
Listen to
we got a
on
merch
Apple.
store.
We have a
Come
merch
on.
store. You can get this. And the best way to tune in, hit the notification bell. Okay. Because subscriptions don't really mean anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a live show Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We don't want to be your only show, but we do it live. And if you're in Mug Club, we take your chats.
I have great news, by the way.
Yeah.
Not yet, but Ranger Panties will be making a
Yes.
comeback to the merch store.
Oh.
It was a
They're on
hugely
their
popular
way.
item.
Yeah, we sold out because of
Yes.
the COVID shortage. All the
Yes.
supplies right now. Really hard to get steel, lumber, and Ranger panties.
Who knew that was
Really?
on the list? That and toilet paper, you know?
Steel and lumber
Crazy.
involved in Ranger Panties.
So anyway,
it makes
coming
sense.
soon.
Coming
Walker,
soon.
Texas?
Yeah, to Crowder Shop. Yeah, Walker, Texas. Yeah, he's 5'2". That Chuck Norris. I met him.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a very nice guy.
He's shorter than me?
Yes. So General.
Do you promise?
Terrible man told me to always keep my promises if I want to keep my friends. So I don't want to speak out of turn.
No.
We'll measure you against the doorway after.
We'll do it, yeah.
Okay.
All right. October 1st. You guys can hit the link in the description. So General Milley testified before Congress yesterday, and there are a couple things that we need to touch on. You guys all know about the fact that he called and warned China about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
However, this is something that, as I was watching it after we were done with the show, I think some people may have missed. And we were talking before this about how it's treasonous.
Yeah.
And having watched this now, I would actually, look, I'm not beyond changing my opinions. It's absolutely treason.
Yeah.
It's absolutely treasonous. So here he is talking about his job under Donald Trump and why he called the China.
These military-to-military communications at the highest level are critical to the security of the United States in order to deconflict military actions, manage crisis, and prevent war between great powers that are armed with the world's most deadliest weapons. The specific purpose of the October
Definitely
and
not
January
General
calls
Smiley.
were generated by concerning intelligence, which caused us to believe the Chinese were worried about an attack on them by the United States. I am certain that President Trump did not intend to attack the Chinese.
That's pivotal.
And it is my directed responsibility, and it was my directed responsibility by the Secretary to convey that intent to the Chinese. My task at that time was to de-escalate.
No. Let's be really clear about this. Your task is not to de-escalate. Your task is to serve at the pleasure of the president. Notably, if you are in the military or occupying any military role, the commander-in-chief. This is a term that's thrown around very often, so a lot of people don't understand. It's not really a term that applies to civilians. It applies to the military. The president of the United States has the final say in the world's most powerful military fighting force. The most powerful military fighting force that's ever existed, bar none. You may not like it, but it's absolutely the truth. Yeah. Your job is to serve the commander-in-chief. Now, what's pivotal there is that he said, I knew that Donald Trump wasn't going to attack the Chinese, but I was concerned that they were concerned. First off, who gives a rat's ass? Second, do you understand how this is cutting off the commander-in-chief, cutting him off at the knees? It's posturing. Look, the commander-in-chief has the right to make all final says, have the final word on any military operations. That includes strategy, that includes placement, that includes tactics, that includes, by the way, posturing. What do you think? Look, especially at this point in time when China was responsible for the pandemic that has been released upon the world, and you can bring up this overlay, a lot of you have forgotten, blaming the United States military. Keep that in mind. The Chinese government officially blaming the United States military for the spread of COVID. It's important to posture. Keep China on their toes. Donald Trump can't do that if, hey, you know he has no intent of using nukes, no intent of waging war, but it's a fake out. It's a fake out. He's got to be able to feint. And what do you think happens if the general undercuts him? What do you think? The Cold War is a perfect example. All that was posturing. We have nukes. They have nukes. What's going to happen? I don't know. Maybe you should play ball. That's what needs to happen with China when they are, in fact, the enemy of the world as it relates to freedom. And, of course, even your freedoms, the freedoms of people in Australia because of a virus that they lied about.
Absolutely. And I thought the whole justification for this was to avoid him trying to go to some kind of like nuclear war or something like that with China after January 6th. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then I see this and I'm like, you just undercut yourself.
Oh, by the way, he called China in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with January 6th. He made similar
Before the election, he called China.
Yes.
How do you call China?
Well, collect.
No, I mean, like,
collect. Stick it to them any which way you can.
Like, you're like, hey, China, like, who's on the other end of the phone?
Well,
I'm being serious.
Either way, it's
in
a
this situation.
Yeah, you'd probably call I don't know if it's the prime minister, the ambassador. I think it's overlay B. If you
because I'm wondering if I was just being serious. Like,
do you remember this? The CDC was caught on the spot. When did patient zero begin in U.S.? This is Li Laojing or Li Jianxiao.
Yeah,
I don't remember. Official cabinet
media guy
position. How many people are infected? What are the names of the hospitals? It might be U.S. Army who brought the epidemic to Wuhan. If that is not a reason to posture war, then you're saying there's no reason to ever actually admonish, have sanctions, punish another nation, no matter how irreparable the damage. It is not your job to de-escalate, General Milley. It is your job to serve under the commander-in-chief. But we get it.
Yeah.
You had a book deal.
Absolutely. And I think people forget this part too. One of the reasons that we posture with China is so that they don't just go and take Taiwan. Right. What they have wanted to do forever. It's the
I know we
reason.
want to keep going there as much as possible.
No, we don't. We want to stay out of there, right? No, Taiwan, right?
I don't
want that to happen. They have to be able to defend themselves. It's the same thing that Russia was trying to do. They were trying to spread throughout the country, basically throughout the world, and just kind of put communism in every country they could. And we had to posture, and it worked.
Yeah,
it helped.
It absolutely helped. And Taiwan is important. Taiwan is an ally, and of course, anyway. We can get into all the geopolitics, which is a little bit redundant. People say geopolitics to sound smarter. I just did it. I hope you guys didn't catch it. Politics,
below.
International politics.
Well, he's supposed to be the crazy guy that they're afraid of.
Right. Effectively.
Yeah.
And
then he just came out like, no, guys, I'm a real bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened to all of our generals? Like, every time we have a general in a movie, they're always like, nuke them, blow it up, nuke them.
Yeah.
This guy's like, oh, we're sorry. We want to make sure that we're not going to nuke you.
There's no fighting in the war.
Donald Trump loves to talk.
Yes.
There is no way he would nuke a country or wage war without warning them. So this was not... Look, for people who don't like Donald Trump, do you think this was accidental? Hey, are you planning on starting war? I don't know. I have no idea. No, I would never send over drones to drop biochemical weapons at our favorite ally who released the Wuhan virus. Oh, no.
Well, yeah, who are you more afraid of? The person you think's a little bit crazy, or the one that you know you can just walk all over?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's look, hey, if anything, that tells us that the president tells us that he knows the original argument, him and Pelosi, was that the president was unstable. You just said, I knew he wasn't going to do it. I just wanted to make sure that China knew. And then I told them that if anything were to ever happen, I would give them a heads up. Oh, a surprise military strike, a coup, if you will, is meant to not include a heads up.
There's a reason why we make these things fast.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So he also, here's something else too. He completely contradicts that statement.
Yeah.
When he was asked by, I don't remember who was here asking him. We'll have the clip. It'll come up.
Tom Cotton.
Is it Tom Cotton?
Yeah.
He was asked about the fact that he actually said we need some kind of, General Milley said we needed some kind of a maintenance level of troops in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Okay. This was his advisement to the current former Vice President of the United States, and former Vice President Biden declined. So this is where we have a direct apples to apples comparison. Look at what General Milley had to say about this.
Why haven't you resigned?
Senator, as a senior military officer, resigning is a really serious thing. It's a political act if I'm resigning in protest. My job is to provide advice. My statutory responsibility is to provide legal advice or best military advice to the president, and that's my legal requirement. That's what the law is. The president doesn't have to agree with that advice. He doesn't have to make those decisions just because we're generals. And it would be an incredible act of political defiance for a commissioned officer to just resign because my advice is not taken. This country doesn't want generals figuring out what orders we are going to accept and do or not. That's not our job.
Okay, hold on a second. Which is it? Is it it's not your job to defy and pick which orders, or it's your job to defy the President of the United States and de-escalate? Because you made a judgment call there that went against the Commander-in-Chief, and now you made a direct advisement to the current former Vice President of the United States. He declined, and you're saying, well, it's not my job to determine what he does. Which is it? Pick a lane. Before we move on to the Bagram Air Base, I want to go to CNN really quickly. This is Clarissa Ward. I assume she's in Afghanistan. Look,
that have been established.
I'll tell you why this irritates you.
I'm wearing this so I don't get a brick thrown at me.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice.
People will say,
Very
well, what
nice.
is she supposed to disrespect the culture? Let me ask you this. How would you feel if she was going to a Donald Trump rally and was forced to wear a MAGA hat?
Yeah.
She's wearing that because she's in a country where they'll throw acid on the face of little girls if they try to go to high school. Okay?
Yeah, it's like somebody coming to America in a babushka and you throw a Yankees hat on them.
Right.
They're like, I wanted my babushka.
Or Mets.
Well, and by the way,
yeah, even gets a better.
I love how just read that. Miley admits U.S. credibility damaged after Afghanistan. You think?
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe
sorry.
a little.
Is this something you just came to? Like, oh, maybe this is going to make us look bad.
Like breaking.
In the world.
We look bad.
How about we just be the arrogant bastards that foreign relations that they claim we are? How about you walk into Afghanistan and they say, put this on, no, with their AKs firing into the air, that stray bullet hits some girl trying to go to a grade school because she's locked out like the tiger in the Flintstones. How about you walk right in there and they say, put this on? You say, no, I'm American. Not going to do that. You can't. Why? Because as much as you bitch about American conservatives being intolerant, they don't blow shit up if you don't put on a headscarf. I'm sorry, hijab.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that really is true.
Well, and we kind of glossed over this point. We brought it up yesterday, but this whole idea that we were not going to leave any troops behind, that there was no other plan, that this couldn't have been anything but chaotic, according to Joe Biden. And he had advisors saying, leave people behind because this is going to get bad if we don't. And he's like, no. We don't need to leave anybody behind. It's totally fine. Trust me. They can hang onto the wheel wells of planes. They'll be just fine.
Yep.
Maybe not.
Hey, how much you want to bet? Look, I'll make this bet right now. Comment below and then call me on it. If I'm wrong, I'll hang my hat on this. How much you want to bet that this happens with the border crisis? That we find out 2, 3, 5 months from now that people advise the former vice president saying, hey, listen, this is going to be a crisis here because of your laws, the fact that you haven't completed the wall, the fact that you've welcomed them, you've incentivized people. We're going to have a migrant crisis, and this is my advice on what you should do about it. And he ignored it because the media just moves on right now. No. you need to hold his feet to the fire. Remember that, CNN? Remember that, Jim Acosta, with Donald Trump? He said there was no way for this to not be chaotic, which, of course, flies in the face of what he said 2 months prior, saying there will be no incidents.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, this same thing is going to happen with the border crisis. And what will happen is the media will just continue rolling on, never being held accountable. Watch. Call me on it. Willing to bet.
The fact that the leader of the free world has to be explained something so obvious is horrifying to me.
It really is.
Really
It's like, look, there's a bunch of illegals coming here. Yeah, well, what's wrong with that? Well, they're going to keep coming and then, stuff. Like, it can't be.
Should I tell them that I'm not going to deport them? Is that going to help?
Am I being punked? Like,
well, I'm gonna
do you really want me to explain?
It's harder to connect one dot on a Denny's placemat than it is the stuff that Biden can't seem to figure out.
Wait, hold on a second. I gotta make sure we don't have voter ID. What were you saying?
What happened? What? How many just came in just now while I turned around?
Yeah.
3 million. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's a big number.
That's a lot. We have to estimate it without going over, or you lose.
Does anyone smell? Oh, it was me.
Plinko. So,
You're not playing?
and here's something else, in case there were any doubt as to how
always thinks he's on Price is Right.
Yes. Where's Barker? You carry?
I want to do the wheel.
I like him fat.
I want that long microphone.
If you bid $1, I'll slug you.
So Milley, in case there was still any doubt as to whether he was completely incompetent, he was asked about Bagram Air Base.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is the airbase that we had in Afghanistan, which we abandoned to then try and... well, look, let's first have him answer. This is supposed to be one of the most brilliant military minds of our time, folks.
Did you at any point create options for keeping Bagram open beyond July 2nd?
Yes.
First off, does she have a raccoon in that thing?
Did you provide options for keeping Bagram open directly to the president?
Yes.
Had Bagram stayed open,
Dee
would our
Snyder
support to the
sniffed her
Afghan
hair
Air
once.
Force have been more effective in your
Never
view?
watched it.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
If Bagram had stayed open, would our support to the Afghan Air Force have been more effective in your view? Yes or no?
Frankly, I'm not sure on that one because most of the Afghan Air Force was at different bases, specifically at HKIA.
Okay, well, I'm not a Joint Chiefs of Staff here, but I can do a little bit of the binging, a little bit of the duck.
It's a little
going.
difficult.
Matter of fact, just that bent back paperclip and Word from '98 would still be more effective. I have no idea. Really? You're a military strategist. You are to advise on military issues, and you have no idea if an airbase in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by landmines, was an effective stronghold that we should have kept in lieu of trying to depart from crowded Kandahar, one of the most crowded cities, I think the most crowded city in Afghanistan that had already been overtaken by the Taliban. Here's a picture, side by side, so you can see. You have Bagram Air Base, surrounded by landmines, Kandahar.
Hard to tell. I can't tell.
It's almost like it would have been helpful to have that second base.
Who knows?
Hey, would it be easier to secure Area 51 or Times Square? I'll have to get back to you.
I love how all these questions.
Well, and the question was phrased in a way like, is it easier to help their military forces, to help their air force? And it's like, having the U.S. presence anywhere makes that easier.
Yes.
The answer is always yes. It was a trick question, sir. You missed it. You should have just said yes, but we decided to do something different.
And then he said, we were all surprised by the collapse of the Afghan forces. Well, I don't know. It seems like you're surprised by the fact that having an entirely protected military air base is beneficial. So it seems to me you're just generally surprised.
Tomato, tomato.
That should be his name, General Surprise.
Yes. Who are you, huh? The Question King?
Oh?
Just a concerned American.
I have giant baggy puffy eyes.
I look like I'm in the Frighteners.
I'm a corpse. I like her hair.
He looks like when the face in Scream comes over the bed through the wall. Was that Scream? I don't know.
No, that's
Frighteners. That was Frighteners.
Isn't that also Freddy?
Oh yeah, that's also
Freddy.
Freddy sucks Johnny Depp into the bed.
No, that's one of the things
Comes
he
through
does.
the wall.
He does come through the wall.
Talk about one lucky Freddy.
Yes.
Johnny Depp was in Freddy Krueger.
Oh yeah, he got killed very quickly.
That's how he got cast. You know why?
Huh.
He's friends with Nicolas Cage. They went to an audition. Wes Craven's daughter was like, I think he's hot. He got hired.
Nice.
To die.
And Nicolas Cage was like, do you mean me?
Yeah.
No.
And they're like, no, the guy you brought.
The other strange actor.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny, she finds you attractive.
The one in the friendships bracelets and skull rings. As a billionaire, he wears $9 jewelry from Chuck E. Cheese. I got 8 friendship bracelets. All right. Could you cut them off? You're playing a pirate.
Hold that thought. I have to get my ass kicked by a woman.
No,
that's sad. Of course it is. I felt bad
Johnny
for him.
Depp.
I don't love Johnny Depp.
I love Johnny Depp.
I do. He got the short end of the stick there. Amber Heard is a monster.
She's a psycho.
Well, I like Johnny Depp. Well, when she used the tampon applicator to say he was snorting cocaine, it's like, this is clearly, it was a stage picture.
Yeah, it was.
That she took, a photo of and was like, he's always just
Put
doing.
some bottles around.
This is what his breakfast is, Coke out of a tampon applicator.
Yes. Speaking of psycho witches, here's something that happened on The View yesterday, and then we'll get to Australia. Caitlyn Jenner spoke out saying that people should have the right to make their own choice as it relates to their body and the vaccine, and Whoopi Goldberg makes a very cutting point.
I'm about individual freedoms. There's not a one-size-fits-all. What about pregnant women? What about everybody has options.
What about pregnant women?
And I just feel like that is a decision between a doctor and their patient. Personal choice. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? You can't.
Listen,
I'll tell you
it's their choice to get it.
Why that doesn't work. Because if we waited for people to make the choice, I would not have the right to vote in this country. If we didn't make the
race
step,
thing.
Excellent point.
You know,
very good point.
By the way, went on to a great commercial for a ladies' clothing company. Oh, linemen are us.
She has gotten a little bigger.
So let's be really clear. Which one?
Oh, they're all hot.
Beautiful and brave, all of them.
All of them.
Let's be really clear here. This is what they use. And they used to use this comparison to with the same-sex marriage thing. It's a really easy card to pull out. All right. Choice vaccine saying, but if we had to leave it up to choice, child, it's crazy. My people wouldn't have the right to vote. Okay, in one instance, we're talking about recognizing, right? I don't want to say granting, the government recognizing more of our God-given freedoms, namely the God-given freedom of bodily autonomy. In the other example, you're talking about racist Southern Democrats trying to remove freedom. From black Americans, namely the right to vote. Longest 2 filibusters in history, Democrats, right? Right to vote, black people. So, do you see the difference? More freedom, less freedom. I hope I've distilled it for you. I hope it's not too reductive.
It's actually the same thing. It's a right to choose because people choose whether or not they go and vote.
Right.
It's a pointless
The point
argument.
there is it was a freedom that should have been recognized from the get-go. All men are created equal. You look at the Founding Fathers, they had a gross problem with slavery. Yeah, but they had slaves. Look, a lot of them were born into a community with slaves. They freed their slaves upon their death. Nobody is perfect. You have to judge them by that point in history. They got the ball moving to end slavery. Every nation at some point has had slavery. Let's be clear. There are plenty of nations that still have slavery. I love the little switch too that our friends in the UK pull. They go, well, actually, it was outlawed in England before the United States, not the British Empire. You were still sustaining yourself, you colonialist pricks, on slavery, and we had one of the most violent wars in history. Took a while. It was a matter of recognizing the constitutional rights, meaning the freedoms of all Americans, versus right now unconstitutionally removing them. This doesn't have to be hard, folks. Don't find yourself flat-footed with this.
And I don't understand why the audience is clapping. It's like, are you really that dense that you can't understand that those two things have no relationship to each other at all?
You're an audience member at the View.
It's someone in a vaccine costume with an applause sign.
That's true. They kind of just move studios. But no, I mean, Caitlyn even says, oh, yeah, that's a fair point. And I'm like, no, it really is not a fair point.
Well, she has
Here's what Joy said, too, in that same clip, right? I know she has to, but still. And that's the only reason Whoopi said it. Like, you can't come back against,
out your voice.
If we waited, we wouldn't have the right to vote. Joy said, well, what about pregnant women? My wife is pregnant, Joy. Do you have a problem with pregnant women wanting to make sure they don't put something in their body in the first trimester that could kill their child, potentially?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that
But that's not the standard of proof. The standard of proof.
No.
Anyone out there who's been pregnant, women who've been pregnant, you can comment below. The standard is we have to make sure that if there is any risk at all, if we don't know that we are guaranteed, already studies have been conducted, that it will not harm the child, then you don't take it.
Right. Pregnant women can't have a turkey sandwich.
They can't have yellowfin tuna.
That's exactly so. And let me clarify: I am not saying that the vaccine will kill your child at all. I am saying that you take the precautionary measure against all substances that might have an impact until you know they won't, including. We went to have sushi the other night, and she couldn't eat sushi.
At the very least, they should have the right to.
Well, yes, of course.
If you want to look, and we have no, but if you want to raise third nipple grandkids, that's your prerogative.
That's on you.
Just don't make me do it.
Depends on where it is.
I have twins. That'd be 6 nipples.
Just not on
a
the
lot of
forehead.
nipples.
That's a weird one.
too many nipples.
Too many.
Yeah.
I don't like. I love dogs. They're my favorites.
Yeah.
But when one's got the nipples hanging out, you're
Too many
like, come
nipples.
back when those aren't there.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to pet you, but say, a belly rub, this is a felony.
Dave, you have male dogs.
I have a male dog. My female dog died. Thanks for bringing that up. It's been a rough
Yeah.
week.
Wow,
Thanks.
Gerald.
Thanks, Gerald.
What?
Really
It's
thought
supposed
you were
to be a
getting the better
joke
of
about
him.
the nipples, Dave.
You feel good about what you just did, Gerald?
I do.
Okay.
He sent me a headstone of the dog. He was like, I'm going to bring this up on the show.
I said too soon. Shouldn't have fed her chocolate. Sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah, we were discussing.
Oh wait, hold
how-
on a second. I'm getting. Sorry, guys. No, I'm getting word. I'm getting word that actually we have to check back in because this is our climate day week thing, and we have to go back with our climate correspondent Thomas Finnegan on the ground. All right, Mr. Finnegan, you there, sir?
Stephen,
Yep.
as we can see that all this smoke is not good for their environment,
you
but
ran
to
out-
continue the experiment,
No.
we're going to make sure that we have the full effect.
No, you don't need to continue.
Gentlemen, make sure your ACs are on full. I want to hear some wind.
No, that doesn't. That's
and
not.
rev.
He's not a.
And rev.
You're not a revving captain.
And rev.
That's enough. That's his Thomas. I don't. Thomas, look. This isn't. The point was to be actually reducing emissions. To be clear.
Can he hear you?
Is that a cinder block?
Oh,
this seems very bad.
That's not safe.
No. Okay. Well, we'll check back in.
Ill-advised.
I forgot he smokes. Didn't his doctor tell him though to switch to non-filters?
I think it was doctor told him to switch to Cools, but
that's right.
He's an urban doctor.
Oh, he had to go there.
And he has a stake.
He has a bias.
Funniest thing. Yeah. Doc, I got a cough. What do I do? I'll prescribe you a pack of Cool.
let's see if we can end it faster.
Wait, what are you saying, Doc? What I'm saying is that your ass is smoking because menthol, huh? Problem
That's the correct cigarette.
solved.
I see you
walk out.
smoking.
I need my doctor to have swagger.
I see you smoking Newports. Gonna give you a little prescribe for some Newport Lights. There you go. And you get 100s. That way you get the same smoke. Just saying his head.
That's all it is. It's basically just a cigarette dispenser.
Yeah.
Someone walks in, a secretary, she goes, yes, this next gentleman smokes Chesterfields. No!
No.
Yeah,
Taking that on.
Chesterfields, parliaments and shit.
Doctor, what is your PhD in? Tobacco.
You work for Big Pharma?
I do.
I work for the Bureau of... Oh, you work for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms? No, I work for the Bureau of Cool.
Oh.
Now here are some dancing cigarettes.
Go smoke them.
All right, let's Let's talk about Australia here. This is something that's been going on, and sometimes you need to learn from your international brothers, and there are a lot of good people in Australia. This is something I've been watching closely. We didn't want to hit it first because we wanted to see if they rescinded some of these laws. We wanted to see if they would improve some of these laws because you don't want to dance on the graves of the freedom of anybody.
Right.
But it's only gotten worse. And Americans, you need to understand that this started long before COVID. Now, I've always said do not comply. If you want to wear a mask, you absolutely should wear a mask. If you want to take a vaccine, you want to use the vaccine, you absolutely should. I have a blind policy here. I don't need to know what anyone does with their own bodies as it relates to the vaccine. We don't even drug test here because I know some people would fail. And I don't need to know what they're doing as long as they're productive. I am very laissez-faire with that, okay? However, in Australia, they have reached terrifying levels of tyranny. Let me put a finer point on it. It is absolutely a tyrannical hellhole. When people say, "Oh, you're just fear-mongering," I think what is going on in Australia right now is enough. And there was a slow march toward this. So for people who don't know, in Australia right now, and we've been updating this to the minute as we can, this is what happens to the citizens of an allegedly free country if you dare go against the COVID lockdown policies. That lady, by the way, her mask was not on, was below her face.
She was exempt. That one.
She was?
Yeah.
Oh.
That a medical exempt.
Well, no. What? Like what? Like she has an air issue? Breathing issue? Nah, that's suspended during a pandemic.
Doesn't happen. No. Never.
This is truly horrifying.
Yeah.
This absolutely is horrifying. And we had to select. Look.
There's tons of these videos.
Yeah. Go to, we have all the references available at loudwithcrowder.com. The link is in the description. There's more footage than you could watch in a lifetime. Now, let me be really clear. I'm going to go through some of the lockdown measures that have been issued, and then the history of what's been going on in Australia, rights that are not recognized. Oh, hold on a second. Really quickly, YouTube cracking down on vaccine misinformation.
Yeah.
CNN. By the way, no conflict of interest here. Just when you have Brian Stelter on Sundays, he has a rotating chyron that just says YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. He's just giving them free plugs to try and bow to the king. Let's see what he's talking about here. This man with the
vaccine
Eric the Red.
And disinformation that YouTube has been slow to react to. I mean, it's not the first time we've said, weren't you doing this already? Why not?
That's right. I mean, on this very show, just a few weeks before last year's election, in
I should have worn a
October,
tie.
the YouTube CEO told Poppy that she wasn't sure if YouTube was going to ban QAnon. They later
take the most
went
extreme
on
example to make a
ban it,
point.
but I mean,
Hey,
that
how
is
about the
just-
doctors who've been removed from YouTube?
Yeah.
How about the doctors who've seen thousands of patients?
Well, how about QAnon still has freedom of speech?
That's a good point as well.
Not.
That's a very good point as well. That's a good point. But they are taking the most extreme example to make a
Of
point.
course they-
So people
100%.
watching CNN don't realize doctors have been removed. They don't realize scientists have been removed. They don't realize certain
Yours
videos
truly.
from the World Health Organization. Well, we got removed because you were quoting medical stats and talking about your wife as a nurse and what the common practices are in a hospital.
True.
So not so
That's
fast.
my fault. Yeah, but no, and a few minutes ago, for perfect example, I wanted to make sure I clarified because I don't want the YouTube overlords to come in and say, oh, well, they said these vaccines are going to do things. No, I did not say that. That's why I had to clarify.
No, we've
So
never said anything.
That's not what I'm saying.
We have never said anything.
That's the world they're creating.
The most controversial thing we've ever said on this show is that COVID is significantly more lethal than the flu to old people, but younger people's immune system react differently, and that is interesting to study as we move forward with the science. That you are at significantly greater risk than the standard flu if you are immune compromised or if you are old, but the stats are different across age groups. That's what we have said, and I won't even get to the specifics because we got into trouble. We got into trouble because we specifically quoted the CDC, and they said, "Well, people may not take it seriously if you say that." So, all right, guess what? Don't care. That's what we're talking about now. And this guy right there, you don't need to be in a basement with a red yarn, a serial killer to make the connections. Look, I was at Fox News for 4.5 years. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a little inside baseball. My clips where I was on Fox were removed. Why? Because back then, Fox said, well, YouTube, we don't want things on YouTube. Same thing with CNN. I've appeared on CNN, I've appeared on HLN, I've appeared on BBC, I've appeared on Sky News. Hated every minute of it.
Yes, you did.
CTV, too, in Canada, Radio Canada. I did this for a long time before I said, you know what? All my energy is going to go into this show. This is the only thing that matters because it really is... it's a shell game, okay? This game is rigged with media. However, now CNN, Colbert, all of these networks, they want to be on YouTube. We're going to have a segment upcoming in the future about autoplay, where you want to play independent content, and then you get, boo, Seth Meyers?
Their advertising's based on YouTube hits a lot of the time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So they want to now increase their share of the market on YouTube, CNN. They're late to the party. When it comes to content, they get beaten by the competition. By places
Hands
like yours
down.
truly, Tim Pool, a lot of independent content creators. So they want to eliminate competition, and they just happen to have the hundreds of millions of dollars to spend with YouTube, with Facebook, with Twitter for advertising to make sure that their stuff gets featured first. Really? Misinformation? How about Russiagate? Does that get taken down from
Right.
Hey, are the videos still up where Fauci said don't wear a mask? Where Fauci said that Americans should be more concerned with the standard flu? I get it. You're saying times change. Sure. But back then, there were plenty of scientists, there were plenty of experts who were disagreeing with Fauci then, to be clear. It's not that someone changes their opinion. It's do they change their opinion in light of new information? For example, Fauci said that kids could catch AIDS from a cereal box if their parents had it in the house. He said this for years. And at that point, the world's leading scientists who didn't get the chance to be in front of every camera that they've ever seen, right? Every single time they see it's like those fly traps to Fauci. Just that red light in the camera. It's all he cares about. There were scientists back then who said, no, you can't get AIDS from a cereal box. Really? Well, how are you saying you get AIDS? Gay anal sex or dirty needles. It's preposterous. He knew it then. Only now everyone else was banned at that time, and now when Fauci changed his opinion, how do we know that he's right?
Yeah. Well, it's not just doctors. The most egregious case was Ron DeSantis, the governor of a great, gigantic state, was having a conversation with doctors. Some would say that that's something that the public needs to be able to see.
Yeah.
And the doctors were from quack institutes like Harvard and I believe Oxford. Stanford, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're going to take that off and you're going to say that this is misinformation because a governor's having a conversation.
Hey, you know what else is really scary? You saw last night, I got another one of those complaints from for German law,
I did, yeah.
violating German law.
You keep breaking German law.
These are international.
What happened? You took the flag down in front of your house?
Yeah, I have no idea what I did. I don't know. Maybe I mentioned the fact that they acted up a couple times in the last century.
Like, not happy about that.
But
when?
I get it. I get it all the time. You violated German law. You violated Pakistan.
Yeah.
Look, these are international corporations who look at what happened with China in the Hong Kong protests. Look at the throttling that happened. Just yesterday, F. Joe Biden was trending. Throttled. F. Donald Trump went up. The counter trend, which is smaller than the real trend. What do you think happens when they have this power and they want to play ball with the Australian government? Who do you think is looking out for you? It's why I'm no longer a libertarian. Go start your own YouTube. Go start your own Facebook. Go start your own Twitter. You can't do that now, especially when they benefit from monumental government bills that favor them as public platforms, even though they act like private publishers. And CNN wants it. CNN wants this show gone. CNN wants all of your voices gone. They can't stand it. And that's just why, look, I'm self-plug here. Consider joining Mug Club. Loudercrowd.com/Mug Club. You get an additional hour of show every day. Also, you know how much we made in YouTube? Zero.
Is it? But did you round up or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Germany.
I had Choi round up.
Flagging people.
Yes.
Oh, they're poop porn.
Like
okay, so we'll go back to Australia. You just saw those videos of the protests. Sorry, I just got worked up about this. Yesterday, the Victoria Department of Health, their minister, Martin Foley, here's something that's interesting to me. He announced that 78% of the current COVID hospitalizations were vaccinated. Okay, remember that up? That's we have a clip.
Yeah, there we go.
We also have 375
he should wear a tie.
With COVID.
It's high sodium Michael Caine.
81 of those are in intensive care and 61 are on a ventilator. Of the people who were in hospital yesterday, 78% were vaccinated. And 17 were partially vaccinated.
And that number is, what did you say, high sodium Michael Caine?
Yeah, Michael.
What do you think? I can't wear a tie anymore. It's because it makes my head look like a balloon.
They call me Michael Candy Cane. I've been eating a lot.
They call me Michael Candy Cane. It hurts my feelings. So, he just said 78% of current hospitalizations, right, are vaccinated. You just saw that for yourself.
You saw.
Currently, only 50% of the country is vaccinated. Now, this matters because the numbers that they have been trying to manipulate, and I've granted them this, right, the argument, because the argument holds water when you say, look, black Americans make up 12% of the population, but a significantly higher percentage of the prison population. They are disproportionately represented. You have liberals who make that argument, that these laws target black Americans and minorities more, right? Okay, this is an argument that's made, and it's one that we've always acknowledged holds some water if you're using the law of percentages. They've tried to use that here with the vaccine, where they say, well, the only reason that 90-something% in Israel in the hospitals are vaccinated is because the majority of the population is vaccinated. First off, that wouldn't hold water if it was a vaccine that, like all other vaccines, immunized you. That being said, right now, 78% of the hospitals vaccinated in Australia, 50% of the that means that there is a higher percentage of people vaccinated in the hospitals than the general population. Now, I understand that correlation does not equal causation. I took Humanities 101 in college too. However, this means that if you were to conduct a clinical trial using the same standard of the science, this would at the very least not pass phase 1 because it's no more effective than placebo. In this instance, significantly less effective than placebo. 78% of hospitalizations, vaccinated. Only 50% of the population. Meaning, if you did nothing, you would be better off with a 50-50 shot if this were to be a clinical study. that matters because the argument can no longer be used. Well, it's just reflective of the population.
Well, and I read through that and I thought, oh man, 70, that's a pretty compelling case. It got worse. I don't know if you heard what he said right after that. 17% of people had 1 dose. That means, if I'm hearing that correctly, that means 5 to 6% of the people in hospital right now are unvaccinated.
I want to make sure that we have that right. If 78% includes a total of 1 dose or 2 doses.
If they're saying that's fully vaccinated and then an additional 17% only have 1.
Let me see. What do we have?
77.3.
Did he say 17 people?
No, he said 17% in the clip. He said it.
I like the little Nickelodeon
It says 1 dose.
splat
Yeah, I think
next
it's 1
to the
dose or
COVID.
2.
Yeah.
So 17 of it. So 50 is 1 dose.
No,
17.
I'm saying what he said is 78% of the people in the hospital are vaccinated, right? Then he said an additional 17% have at least.
Did he say
1
additional?
Dose. That's what I thought I heard him say. So if he's saying
Let's play the clip again.
Yeah, play the clip.
I want to make sure because I was reading this morning and you may have caught something I missed.
We also have 375 people with COVID in hospital at the moment. 81 of those are in intensive care and 61 are on a ventilator. Of the people who were in hospital yesterday, 78% were vaccinated and 17 were partially vaccinated.
So, yeah, I don't know if he's saying an additional.
It almost sounds like he's saying an additional because why would he break down the 78? He'd say of those, only 17% had 1.
The point is, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it's worse. Sorry.
He looks like
it's significantly worse.
He looks like the Colonel after Dirk Diggler exposes himself
Yes.
at the pool party, doesn't he? When he's like, "May I see it?" and then afterwards his glasses are sideways.
Stop referencing Boogie Nights. That film was crude. So, and keep in mind that they are saying they will be maintaining the COVID restrictions until 80% of the population is vaccinated.
Wow.
So you need to meet an 80% threshold, which, by the way, has changed. Remember, it was Fauci said 70, then he said maybe
Always
75,
moving.
then he said 80, then Biden said 97, 98. The point is the goalposts will always be moved. They never give up this power. Let me read you some of these restrictions just so you know I'm not making it up. Again, the sources are available. Link in the description. Only one in Sydney specifically, which is where the majority of the footage has come from. Only one person can leave the house to get food per day. Going to shops, browsing is not allowed. You have to register for travel leaving Sydney. You have to work from home. It's mandatory whenever possible. Mandatory face masks.
Wow.
There's a 5-person limit on any outdoor activities for vaccinated people. You can't have visitors at home unless for specific reasons like childcare or an emergency. If you live alone, you're permitted 1 nominated visitor who can visit you in your home.
Choose well.
You can't share cars with people you don't live with except for specific reasons like an emergency, even if it's a Subaru Outback. Bloomin' Onions can only be shared while wearing latex gloves. You have to carry proof of name and address if you have left your home and present it to the police, unless, of course, you're going to vote. Must have proof of vaccination and show it to police. Mandatory check-ins, QR codes. This is something that happened in Canada, too, by the way. By the way, all kangaroos have to wear masks when boxing. This is something that happened in Canada. When you went back to Canada, you had to self-quarantine at your own dime.
Yeah.
The same thing in Australia. You have to spend the average cost anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 in mandated hotel quarantine.
Wow.
And that's, of course, stranded. Now, who does this affect? This affects the most wealthy this affects the most poor among us.
Yeah.
The wealthy can afford to travel and visit a dying relative. The wealthy can afford, right, to somehow flout these lockdown laws. The wealthy can afford that. The poor in the country, the middle class, can't afford $3,000 to $5,000 to self-quarantine. And so what happens? You Zoom your dying wife. What happens? You maybe don't get to go see the birth of your child. This is the kind of stuff that happens. You've been seeing it across the country. Of course, the wealthy, the elites are not affected in the same way. They're too busy eating at the French Laundry. All right.
We're getting a blowout.
And here's something else. Speaking of when you're not doing hotels, they've been building, and this is something too. Look, frog in the boiling water. And we'll have Alex Jones on the show. He says some crazy stuff. But now it's not that crazy. He goes, look. I have seen where they are building the FEMA camps. And we're like, oh, Alex, you're so crazy. Okay, well, they have government-built, mandated quarantine buildings in Australia. To them, it wouldn't. You'd say, look, government buildings for FEMA camps. They'd say, yeah, problem? Because here's what's going on.
Howard Springs near Darwin is held up as the gold standard of quarantine. Separate cabins, on-site testing,
gold standard of trailer
catering,
packs.
And so far, no known breaches.
This is a commitment
It's the nicest concentration camp you ever seen.
To say to the people
This one's going to be done in 2024.
We want to keep you safe. And the best
sorry,
way
what?
to
Yeah,
keep
tell me
you
they're
safe
planning on this being a
and
short
to keep
pandemic.
Delta out of Queensland is to build as quickly as possible a regional quarantine
Who's getting the contract
facility.
on that?
It's not a concentration. It's
The
a
airport.
well.
You get out and they shoot the pilot.
I think I see Ricky and Bubbles.
Or just waiting patiently to be fed. It's like when you shake the bag of the dog treats, and the dogs come running. We're all just outside waiting.
Oh my gosh,
Disturbing, man.
What the? All right.
That really, really, really should bother everybody who's seeing that. If you're looking at Australia right now, the list of things that you just went down, the government has no right to tell me when I can and cannot leave my house. And by the way, they don't have a right to ping me and say, "Hey, make sure in the next 15
Take a
minutes
picture.
you have to take a picture that shows us that you're at your
Well, here's
house."
the thing. They actually
if you're
do
close.
in countries that don't have the
No, that's what I'm
constitution
saying.
that we have.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like in general, we don't believe that the government exists for that reason. They're there to acknowledge those rights. That is true. Period.
Yeah.
That is not just an idea that we had. This was something that was self-evident. That's why we said it that way.
Right.
The government deciding when and what you can eat is terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll put you in a camp. Oh, really? That's never going to be abused, and it never has in history before, right?
He's
Totally
in a
trust
camp
you.
that's bread lines. There's so many variations of that. It's just egregious.
We're all in this together. This is just, look, things will go back to normal. But that camp's not going to be done until 2024.
Yeah.
Oh, look, tomato, potato. It's a knife. That's not at all helpful. 2024, which, by the way, could probably get Trump on it. Could probably have that go up by within
faster.
6 months.
Yeah, come on.
If we weren't dealing with audits and impeachment.
3 years.
What are they going to do? Like, we're supposed to flatten the curve, not plan ahead for concentration
Yes.
camps. We're not supposed to be, well, we need to build just giant trailer parks where we throw them in. Like a zoo, you can't pet anything, though.
I know. And I understand that it's a penal colony filled with murderers and rapists, so no one should be surprised. However,
they should be fighting harder against those guys.
Yeah, what's going
on? You would
I
think so.
expected more. You guys came from the worst.
Listen here. You telling me I can't leave my house? My father was a rapist? My granddad was a rapist? And his dad's dad was a rapist. You understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, if you want me to stay home, you're going to be in here with me.
Yes, exactly. Light some candles, rose petals, but I won't call you back. So Australia, by the way, has actually deployed the military in helicopters to tell people to go home and comply with. So when you say military state, I don't know, maybe it looks something like this.
What the Nope.
Well, thank God you're not in Afghanistan. That would be a Biden drone killing 10 people, including 7 children.
I see some people dropping
The point
off
that you just made, I talked about this with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
South Australia, they made their citizens quarantine, download an app.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's
the
an
app can
actual
randomly request that they send a photo of themselves in their quarantine location within 15 minutes of the request. Otherwise, they send in the authorities. First
They
off,
should all send dick pics.
yes, that's
it should be across the board. Come on.
Yeah, there's.
That would be amazing.
come over here. What? She's supposed to be in quarantine, but I can't see the location. What? I can't find the location, Peter. It's nothing but dicks. Look at that. It's just dick and balls.
Please do
Where's
that.
that? I can't tell. Look, I can't make out. It's not a topographical map.
I do know that he's next to a Diet Coke can.
Yes.
People of Australia, I beseech you.
Yes.
Do
Please.
this. Make this
Please.
happen.
Yeah, you want to win? This is how you
This
do
is
it.
how you win.
Take a look at my boomerang.
You subvert the technology. It's an Aboriginal dick.
That's not a dick.
Curved.
This is a dick.
I'll tell you, that's a loyal dick. Comes right back.
They have to investigate it. They're like, this isn't even the same color penis you sent the last time. I don't even know if it's the same guy.
It's my friends.
Oh, please make this happen. I want this so bad.
You want to tell me that's not scarier than the virus with a 2% hospitalization rate, which includes, by the way, 80 and 90-year-olds? You want to tell me the government being able to tell you to send them a picture within 15 minutes or they send men with guns is not scarier than the virus? At what point do we say that the cure is worse than the disease? I think that's a fair question to ask. How far does it have to go here for you to not comply with anything? You know what? I would tell my daughter, don't ever send a picture to a guy you don't know with your location.
Never.
Well,
Hell
that's
no.
true, right?
Hell no.
And if we've talked about the police before, and I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but we played videos that are just absolutely scary. It's not like they come and say, hey, you have to put a mask on, you have to do this. People were actually protesting just because they didn't think that the lockdowns were good, and they were already pinned on the ground. In that same video we saw, somebody was kneed in the back by a second officer. The other guy that was already on the ground pinned down was kicked in the head.
It's
If
almost
that
like every
happened
day.
in the United States, people would be in the streets rioting and burning cities.
But listen, this is Australia. All kick to the back of the head. More dead kick to the back of the head. He's dead kick. He's dead kick to the back of the head. My point is, if someone breaks the lockdown rules, someone's getting the back of the head kicked.
That's what all the prisoners are now the cops.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's true.
And all these restrictions have, of course, led to, compare this to here in the United States, for example, like let's say January 6th, which is the most horrible event that's ever occurred in modern American history.
Obviously
of course.
Sure.
Yeah. The protests, the backlash, and just look at the backlash. I sound like the teenager in The Simpsons. The Simpsons. The fat guy wants to see the movie. So look at the backlash here. These people charge the cops. So you need to understand the context for these people in Australia who've submitted to these authorities for a very long time. These have led to massive protests, as in some cases, they absolutely should.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. They're just running right through. You've never seen that in the United States.
Is one of them Rip Taylor?
Yes.
Oh, I guess not.
This is insane.
And the only reason that those people aren't being roughed up by the cops is they can't rough up all of them.
Yeah.
Let that be a lesson, folks.
Well, they're right. It's nothing against the cops for doing their job, but these people are absolutely right.
They cannot arrest all of us.
Bareback.
Freedom!
How hilarious
And
would
they
it be if
cannot
that's
arrest me for stealing my friend Dan's horse.
Dad was a horse thief?
Oh, no, he's going to write me later, but worth it.
My grandpa was a horse thief.
I'm going in. If there's a horse around, I'm getting it.
Listen, son, you may not like it. It's horse thievery that feeds you and clothes you.
Who do you sell them to? People who want to buy cheaper horses.
Yes. How hilarious would it be that Clydesdale just took a dump right there?
Oh, yeah.
You clean it up, coppers!
Yeah.
By the way,
They cannot arrest me for not cleaning up horse shit.
Hope the fuzz brought the rubber gloves, yeah?
did you see? So in that first video where they broke through, and I'm not advocating for violence, but there was some guy like Neo in the Matrix. It was like elbow to one guy, punch this guy, running through, kick to that guy. I swear it was just it was like a movie.
He watched the speech from Braveheart before he went out that day.
He was really pumped.
I'm not kidding. It was like one step to another was like bing, pow, boom. Like he was hitting people. I was like, oh my gosh. This guy came prepared. Yeah, exactly. There's a little
and look, this is going on right now. However, this is why we've done Change My Mind here at the show is you need to recognize what's happening before it gets this far.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of warning signs. When I was watching those protests and the cops pelting them, which, by the way, in the United States, some of these videos, they're using what look like actual rifle carbines. I don't know that they use those with paintballs. I haven't seen it. So that's concerning because you can't tell what's real versus what's non-lethal around that. So anyways, in aside, we'll maybe go back to that. I thought, well, thank God that these people who are being locked in their houses and having their wives roughed up for going for a jog, thank God these people don't have any guns or things could get out of control.
Oh.
So
it's almost like that was a plan.
Yeah.
It's almost like none of this would be happening.
It's almost like
we
none
all
of this
told you, hey, don't do that, but you did it.
Yeah. So there was, and this is something that Beto O'Rourke supports. Said, hell yeah, we'll do that in the United States. In Australia, I can give you the ins and outs. Really simple. There's a gun ban. It was a gun ban.
Yeah.
They called it a buyback, and people here try and sell you on this idea of a gun buyback. It was a mandatory buyback. What does that mean? You sell your gun to the government, turn it in, or they send guys with guns to take them away from you. That's what happened in '96 in Australia. By the way, people didn't really have an effect on gun crime. Let's be very clear. People will argue back and forth. Let's say it did. It doesn't matter. The disease is not as bad as the cure at this point. Something else, they have a surveillance bill. And we have that here in the United States, Patriot Act, understand, have some problems with it.
Yeah.
This surveillance bill in 2020 allowed Australia to spy on and take the accounts of potential cyber criminals. Here's the thing, though. They don't need to investigate or charge people with a crime to use it at all.
That's incredible.
And of course, something else that is pretty important to me, this is how it starts. You wonder, how do they crack down on protesters? How do they beat someone up for protesting? Well, guess what? Australia doesn't have free speech. I've talked about this. One of the first change my minds I did was a sandwich board because we couldn't get a permit.
Yeah.
It was a permit. We couldn't get a porpoise. They're expensive. How are you going to bring it on land?
True. Has to be educational.
You got water.
too.
Well,
You
father
feed
was
her
a
it.
porpoise
That's
thief.
not good.
Just get to some good old porpoise thieving.
Oh my gosh.
So the Australian Constitution does not list a right to free speech. Let's be really clear. This is the difference between common law versus what we have here in the United States, okay? And this is why I did a hate speech is not real change my mind. That's important to note.
Yeah.
Hate speech is not a thing here in the United States. In other countries, it's a loosely defined term that can be used to subject its citizens. So we have no more firearms. We have no more privacy. You notice I almost fell there.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Idiotic.
We have no more
I'm a
Stephen
moron with
Grant.
no depth perception. So they have no firearms to protect themselves.
Yeah.
They have no privacy, right? This is because you don't have a God-given right to privacy. It's the government. The government
Yeah.
grants you rights. And they don't have a right to speak out publicly.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear. Hate speech is illegal in Australia under Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act. That's how they shoehorn it in. Makes it unlawful for someone to do an act that is reasonably likely to offend, insult, humiliate, or intimidate someone because of race or ethnicity.
Who gets to determine what is something that is reasonably likely to defend? According to who?
Right.
You just made it so subjective that you can pretty much use it however you want, which I think was the goal.
Well, that's also the issue because here in the United States, some of you think, well, these people are crazy, and at least it's just professors and in Hollywood checking white privilege and how everything is white supremacy. But honestly, most people know that that's bullcrap. The issue is the government says it's not in Australia. So racism now isn't the actual belief that someone of a different race is inferior to you, which is horrible, ungodly, and immoral, and I find disgusting. However, people have the right to personally be racist here in the United States. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But people of all races do. It's awful. We try to fight it through ideas. We actually fought it through one of the bloodiest wars of all time and in legislation. However, people have the right to say things, certainly that could be determined to be offensive by the government, who, by the way, may believe in critical race theory, who, by the way, may say that all white people need to check their privilege, and if you don't, you might be racist. And of course it's been used against the citizens because it's a sliding scale and whoever is in power will abuse it.
Yeah, so basically what you just told me, let me just recap the Australia thing. You have no way of defending yourself.
Right.
You have no authority to tell people that they can't come into your house from the government and force you to do whatever they tell you to do because you have no right to privacy. And then you can't speak out about it when it happens to warn other citizens so that they can understand what's going on.
That's exactly
Is that I just want to make sure I have that clear. That sounds like every bad movie we have seen where there's a dictator in power that has to be overthrown.
That's
Every
exactly
one
what
of them.
you would think. But the good news is right now it's only temporary. Just check the trailer parks that will be up until 2024.
Well, they had nice sidewalks.
They had nice,
It's like you could take a walk on them, go for a stroll. And but I'll be out front waiting for my gruel. Please, some more gruel.
Can I have some
The
more?
men selling aluminum siding are making an absolute killing.
Yes, they are.
And these laws, these other laws I'm about to go through here, may seem insignificant, but again, they all add up because these laws are permissible only because your rights are not unalienable. They're not God-given. It's granted to you by the government so they can take it away. You think you have that right? Don't have that right. It's my right. Everyone who has rights, step forward. All you, not so fast.
My grandpappy didn't have rights.
He didn't have rights. I don't have rights. And his daddy, well, he was eaten by a shark. That was very hard for all of us.
They're out there.
So here are some small infringements on your freedom. You can't buy alcohol after 10 p.m. That doesn't seem like a big one.
Oh, son of a...
You need a permit for outdoor picnics.
That can piss people off.
You have a $300 fine for not wearing a bike helmet, or as John Oliver would call it, common sense. You have a law proposed to charge $2,200 for too much smoke from a barbecue. I don't think that's actually a law yet.
Come on.
Your Honor, I would have bought
Put
a
some smoke in the
helmet,
Barbie.
but they took my last $300.
Right, yes. And of course, it's illegal to wear body armor. That's something that I don't understand.
What?
It's a defensive tool.
Yeah.
Well, how
That's one of those
Ned
things
Kelly
where you
didn't
can't
write
wear
it,
body
I think.
armor because you might hit someone with it. I don't know. I might use my gun with it. That's what I might use. This is to protect me. The argument is that you might be able to defend yourself. And
Well, the other thing
had
is
a
already
problem,
illegal. So the whole idea is that you're going to be like the L.A. robbers that were out there shooting at police officers and they couldn't be hit. It's like, They're already doing something illegal. You don't need to make the body armor illegal. Going and shooting at police officers illegal. Problem solved.
Yeah, how amazing was that? They just dressed like the dark or the Black Knight from
it was
Monty
crazy.
Python and the Holy Grail. It was just like an eye slit and just body armor.
I understand why that could be a problem. However, you don't remove the rights.
No,
of all
you
your
should totally be
citizens.
able to wear body armor everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
And people shouldn't even know.
Just for fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like, you just like, why are you dressed like that? And you're like, what if something goes down?
Yeah.
I'm in body armor.
Also, it
How are
makes
you
me
doing?
stronger. It's like weighted clothing, like in
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
What's your problem, Piccolo? The point here is, look,
You want to dance, son?
you may want to think that this cannot happen here in the United States. It shouldn't be able to because of the Constitution.
Yeah.
But since we've seen that has been used effectively as cottonelle wipes over the last year, and people have said, you have the president who said, I don't think it's constitutional, but we're going to do it anyways. Specifically with the rent moratorium. He said, I don't think it's constitutional, but we're going to do it anyways. We'll say the CDC has control over the population and rent during health pandemic measures, something or other.
Yeah.
Probably won't hold up, but it'll take 6 months to get to the court. You have someone who has said the quiet part out loud, that he doesn't care on the constitutionality of it. Well, then if he says, I don't care about that constitutionality, right? The appropriate separation of powers, what's to stop him from saying, I don't care about the constitutionality of infringing on freedom of speech. I don't care about the constitutionality of taking your guns away. Or as Beto O'Rourke has said, hell yeah, we'll do it, and then kickflips into oblivion. This is something that absolutely should not happen in the United States, but absolutely can. And you need to have your head on a swivel before a pandemic, love. You need to be aware of this. This is why when people say, oh, I'm just not really into politics, boring, until it steps up until it's right at your front door, right at your front stoop. Guess what? There have been years of this going on, and I've had many, many people, a doctor, right? We have a doctor friend who we know who's lovely, but he's like, I didn't think about this until my daughter went to college.
Yeah.
And guess what? We've been talking about this for years before your daughter went to college. There are a lot of moms out there who, this is a big problem too with a lot of women because politics are ugly.
Yeah.
And if you look at the polls, you look at women are less engaged in politics statistically than men for the same reason, like in a lot of sports, they have different interests. But this will directly affect you and your family. Everyone needs to be engaged all the time. You don't have to be engaged 24/7. You need to unplug. But guess what? I bet you there were a lot of Australians who said, oh, gun back, not that big a deal. Oh, free speech law, not that big a deal. And now the pandemic comes and they say, what the hell is happening? That's what's happening to a lot of Americans right now. That's why you're seeing the polls change. That's why you're seeing the trust in Joe Biden take a nosedive. People are going, whoa, 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 whoa. How did we get here? I'll tell you how we got here. You weren't paying attention. Australia wasn't paying attention, and they don't have the kind of constitution that we have. In America, people have not been paying attention, and you now have leaders who have expressed clearly and vocally, we don't want to have the constitution that we have. That's where we are. Don't become complacent and just comply to be nice, and this isn't the hill I want to die on. Look, there are more hills to die on than not at this point, pandemic or no. I want to be very clear about that. All right, we do have to get going, but before we leave to Mug Club, we'll be taking your chat. Okay, well, because we have him on retainer.
That's right.
Oh, geez.
Our environmental correspondent, Thomas Finnegan, one last time with Climate Week. Okay, Finnegan.
Well, Stephen, it was a mostly successful experiment. However,
no, wouldn't say that.
The brick didn't work out quite so well.
We told you to bring a brick.
But we're trying to do our part, and I'll do mine.
I'm still confused, Mr. Finnegan, as to what part that... No, that's going to be some CFCs.
No.
That's toxic, man.
Stop. Hey, on the way out, just to let you guys know, there was huge legislation, of course, here in America regarding the ozone layer. We had to learn about that as kids. The largest hole in the ozone layer is closed. So I found that out this week because I wasn't paying attention. But so we're making progress, right? All right, Mud Club members, we're going to be taking your chat and playing newest gender pronouns. YouTube, well, just because of what you guys did there on CNN and the guy without a tie, you need to piss off.